Question 18. Which of the following correctly expresses x as the subject of a equals nx over 5? The question is asking us to express x as the subject of this equation. At the moment, a is the subject. That's the pronumeral that's on its own on the left-hand side. Now, being an equation, left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. That also means the right-hand side is equal to the left-hand side. So it doesn't matter which order we write this equation. And since we want the x to be on its own on the left-hand side, I'm going to start off by rewriting this equation, just swapping both sides around, since one side is equal to the other. So I'm going to write it as nx over 5 is equal to a. Now we're dealing with an algebraic fraction here. And we have two terms in the numerator being multiplied together. And there are implied brackets around the numerator. So I could rewrite the left-hand side as nx in brackets divided by 5, and that equals a. So now I want to remove this divide by 5 and then remove the n in order to make the x, the pronumeral on its own on the left-hand side, so it becomes the subject. So my next step is to remove the terms that are around the x, starting with the term that's furthest away from x. And at the moment, that's the 5, or this divide by 5. So I'm going to move that over to the other side. And in doing so, I'm going to turn this division into a multiplication. And a good way to remember this is that left is the opposite of right. Divide is the opposite of times. So when we move something from one side to the other, we do the opposite or the inverse operation of what's currently going on. So this divide by 5 moves over to the other side and it becomes times 5. So the equation becomes nx, or n times x, is equal to a times 5. And that can be written in shorthand, so we can write it as nx is equal to 5a. So if we go to our options, we can see we have a 5a here, option B. We also have a 5a here in option D. So already we can eliminate options A and C. The final step is to eliminate this n. So x is being multiplied by n, moving the n over to the other side. The multiplication becomes a division. So we can write it as x equals 5a in brackets divided by n. And writing that in fraction form, 5a becomes the numerator, n becomes the denominator. So x as the subject is equal to 5a over n. Therefore, the correct answer is option B.